Let's be honest, your time is valuable.
My biological clock is ticking like this.
Mindlessly scrolling and randomly picking a movie or show that's absolute garbage is no bueno, my friend.
Take the garbage out front, son.
That's hours that you threw in the trash. Let me crunch the numbers from the top critics and members from Rotten Tomatoes, IMDB and Metacritic, and I'll put you on the right path to cinematic excellence. This is Smash Ranks. Welcome. Let's go over the top 10 Oscar-nominated movies of 2024. Now, we created this list of the movies nominated Best Picture, Actor or Actress, Director, Screenplay, and Cinematography. We left out any documentaries or animations or shorts. And although we know the winners, let's weed out the politics and find out who really deserves a street cred for Best Complete Film of the Year. And spoiler alert, some of the Best Picture noms didn't quite make it on this list. Smashed at number 10 is Nickel Boys.
Nana, what is it?
I let you down.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Hell, I let you down.
No.
So this one was nominated for Best Picture and Best Screenplay, but didn't manage to secure either. Set in the South in the 60s, Elwood Curtis dreams of going to college but is dealt a bad card. Unfortunately, his plan is derailed and he ends up trying to survive a brutal reform school with a buddy he meets. This does take place during the Civil Rights Movement, and as you can imagine, human rights are a pretty huge mess in the South at this time. Now, creatively shot in first person, the director, Ramel Ross, wants you to see and feel exactly what it was like for a young black man in this time in history. It's ultimately a story of family, friendship, and survival. Personally, I dig the first-person POV. This way of filming may be jarring for some, but the story remains the same and arguably brings you into this world more than traditional shooting techniques. There's a lot to unpack with this one, but it is one of the most moving films of 2024. Smashed at 9 is A Complete Unknown.
You tramped all the way from Minnesota. Why is that?
I wanted to catch a spark.
Nominated for Best Picture, Best Directing, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Writing. And you would think they had a good chance to take home an award, but the Academy absolutely screwed them. They got nothing. A Complete Unknown is directed by James Mangold and stars Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. We follow Dylan to his rise to fame as a folk musician in the early 1960s New York. This musical biopic doesn't have that typical formula of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but rather explores the challenges an artist faces when he becomes more progressive. Pretty original. His fans feel like he needs to walk the line, another Mangold hit, but Dylan doesn't want to conform and does his own thing. Edward Norton and Monica Barbaro perform alongside Chalamet and deservedly were nominated for an Academy Award. Now, shout out to the production design and performances to put you convincingly in this world of early 1960s. I think a lot of people forget how much work is put into era pieces. I mean, the cars, the buildings, the architecture, the costumes, they all have to be on point. And sometimes I'm looking in the background, making sure that there's no mistakes or goofs. And this one had none. This one was pretty amazing. Anyway, this biopic it's worth a watch.
I want to hear it.
How does it feel? Turn it down!
Smashed at 8 is Conclave.
The Pope is dead. The throne is vacant.
Now, Conclave was nominated for Best Picture, Actor, Supporting Actress, and Screenplay. And they did take home the award for Adapted Screenplay. Now, Conclave is about the death of a pope and a selection of a new one. I mean, straightforward story, right? Well, you'd be wrong, my friend. Because the Catholic Church has a very important responsibility, picking the right pope could literally make or break the church. And this can be a long, tedious process that incorporates a heavy game of politics. Ray Fiennes is tasked with running the show behind closed doors and encounters some real tough decisions. He's got to deal with a lot of gossip and some crazy secrets that emerge. This film gives you an exclusive look at this behind closed doors process through the eyes of a very talented cast of not only Fiennes, but Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, and Isabella Rossellini, who is nominated for Supporting Actress. It's crazy because this film is set under one roof and relies on the performances, cinematography, and writing to keep the audience engaged, and it does that masterfully. I never thought a film about selecting a pope would be this entertaining, but it is. Check it out.
There would be no mystery. And therefore no need for faith.
Smashed at 7 is a real pain.
Really hope you left already. Oh, God, you made it.
What's up, cuz? I got some good shit from when we land.
Wait, you're not like taking weed into Poland, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Benji?
They don't give a shit about that stuff, man.
I think they very much do give a shit about that.
A Real Pain was up for Best Supporting Actor and Screenplay, and Kieran Culkin ended up getting the nod and took home the award for Best Supporting Actor. Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin are cousins who travel to Poland as instructed by their grandma in her will. On their journey, these complicated characters not only learn about their grandmother's upbringing during the Holocaust, but they learn a lot about themselves and reconnection with each other. So this is Jesse Eisenberg's baby, as he wrote, directed, and starred in this dramedy. He plays more of a level-headed anchor to the duo, and Kieran Culkin, much like his Succession character, is the outgoing, over-the-top wild card in this one. These contrasting performances and themes of humor and grief gives us an emotional ride from start to finish.
What the flying jeez?
And I want to be him.
You used to cry about everything.
Yeah, it was awful. Who wants to cry about everything?
We're on a Holocaust tour. If now is not the time to grieve, I don't know what to tell you.
Smashed at 6 is The Brutalist.
There's him. He's alive. What?
Brutalism, a style of design and a ruthless behavior by an individual. This word lends its name perfectly to different themes in this film. The Brutalist is nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, Screenplay, and Cinematography. Adrien Brody took home Best Actor, and they got an award for cinematography. Escaping post-war Europe, visionary Hungarian architect Laszlo Toth, played by Adrien Brody, is liberated from a concentration camp and arrives in America in 1947 to rebuild his life. Laszlo arrives in Pennsylvania where he meets the wealthy and prominent industrialist Harrison Lee Van Buren, played by Guy Pearce, who recognizes his talent for architectural design. Elizabeth, played by Felicity Jones, arrives in the States 8 years after Laszlo arrives and becomes a pillar of support to Laszlo as he navigates his new life. Now, Van Buren ends up becoming a bit of a charmer and kind of an asshole. It was funny to watch Laszlo trying to figure this dude out. Thanks to an incredible script, the dance between Guy Pearce and Adrien Brody's character is a sight to see. There always seems to be some underlying tension between the two, and their interactions can be quite dynamic. This film is about 3.5 hours long, but I never looked at the clock like I have in other movies. It just kind of seemed to breeze by. The cinematography is really well done, and it really puts you in a post-war industrial Pennsylvania area where everything's desaturated and there's a true sense of bleakness. Now don't let the runtime scare you, and do yourself a favor and watch this epic film.
I promise.
Smashed at 5 is Honora.
Like, what do you do to get all of this?
Honora was up for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Screenplay. Now this crew cleaned up at the Oscars. They got Best Picture, Actress, Director, and Original Screenplay. Mikey Madison plays the lead as Honora, or Annie. She provocatively plays an escort who meets Vanya, a young spoiled brat who's the son of a rich Russian oligarch. Vanya, with his mommy and daddy's money, pays her for sex and also just pays her to hang out with him. Now he flashes all this money in front of Annie, and Annie really likes this lavish lifestyle that they're living. So one weekend getaway in Vegas, they end up getting married so that he doesn't have to go back to Russia. Word gets out of the spontaneous marriage, and it ends up causing lots of problems for both Annie and Vanya. So the writing has a Quentin Tarantino feel to it, which I always enjoy. Now, Mikey Madison performs so well in this film, I really can't imagine her in real life as anything other than a foul-mouthed, money-hungry sex worker. Also, one of the henchmen of the Russian family, Igor, who was played by Yura Borisov, was hysterical. When tempers rise with all the characters, and when he's introduced, the film becomes a lot funnier. Two wildly different social classes hit head-on, and we get a reinvented Romeo and Juliet story that keeps you on your toes.
What is that? Is that a butterfly?
Yeah, it's a butterfly.
You're so classy. I know. I got dollar signs like a real hoe.
Smashed at 4 is Wicked.
You're green. I am.
Wicked was nominated for Best Picture, Actress, and Supporting Actress. They didn't get any of those awards, but they didn't come home empty-handed. They got Best Costume and Production Design. And if you see the film, you would know why. So if you didn't know, Wicked is a musical, and musicals are like a stiff IPA beer. It's an acquired taste some people try to consume to impress their friends, but their face says, oh hell no. Based off the 2003 Broadway play, this double IPA has finally made it to the big screen. It's an origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West, aka Elphaba, played by Cynthia Erivo from the classic Wizard of Oz. She meets Galinda, the Good, at Shiz University. Yes, I said Shiz University. It's a witch school in the land of Oz. Galinda is played by Grammy-winning superstar Ariana Grande. Elphaba, who's misunderstood, and the popular one Galinda become friends. They basically have to rise up and take it to the man because of the abuse of power. These damn dictators and fascists really know how to cause drama in movies. So lots of surprises in this one. Cynthia Erivo, who I became a fan of from The Outsider, is amazing as an actor and surprisingly as a really good singer. Ariana Grande, who I know can hit the high note, shows her range as an actor. She produced all the laughs with her comedic timing and had some surprising emotional moments too. Wicked had amazing acting and musical performances, jaw-dropping sets that I found out were mostly practical, and songs that would not vacate my head for some time. If you got one musical in you from last year, it's this one for sure.
Don't be afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
The wizard that there is or was.
Smash at 3 is Sing Sing.
To die. To sleep. To dream.
Nominated for Best Actor in Screenplay, but unfortunately the film failed to come home with either. But that's not to say it's not worth a watch. Based on a true story, this is set in the infamous New York prison Sing Sing, and we follow Divine G, played by Coleman Domingo, who was sent to prison for a crime he didn't commit. He ends up joining the prison theater group, and he meets a fellow inmate by the name of Clarence Macklin, who's a bit reluctant at joining this new world of theater. It's the story of how art and creativity can be a powerful tool for transformation, hope, and compassion. Now, fun fact, the majority of the inmates portrayed in this movie are in fact inmates in real life. I learned about it after the movie and was flabbergasted. I said it, flabbergasted that these were not all real actors. So damn it, give these men some work passes. We need to see more of them on the big screen. Smash at 2 is Dune Part 2.
You will never lose people at Atreides.
They were nominated for Best Picture, Cinematography, Production Design, and Sound. They weren't completely left out to dry. They won an Oscar for sound design. Although, congratulations, you received Smash Rank's Best Sci-Fi of the Year. Denis Villeneuve put forth an absolute masterpiece for Part 2 in the recreation of the book and original film back in 1984. We continue the journey of Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, as he unites with Chani and the Fremen people, while he's set on revenge for the death of his father. Ultimately, he has to face his choice of love or the fate of the universe. Yeah, that's a tough one there. I don't envy that one at all. But do you want to be part of the universe if you don't have your love? But how can you live in the universe without your love? What a decision. Supported by an incredible director and a giant A-list cast, this film was destined to be a massive hit. In addition to the incredible acting, the production design and cinematography definitely puts this film in the elite category. It's safe to say that Denis Villeneuve has reached that level where every actor wants to make his vision a reality. Bottom line, if writing a giant sandworm the size of a battleship doesn't spark your interest, then we just can't be friends.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Smash to the top is I'm Still Here. This one was nominated for Best Picture, Actress, and International Film. Now, they didn't get Best Picture, but they did get Best International Film. A true story set in Brazil in 1970, we follow a family whose lives are turned upside down by the powers that be. At first, the conflict doesn't seem obvious. We follow this wholesome family that live an idyllic life. Then the shit hits the fan and the father of the family is taken. Eunice, Fernanda Torres, has the uphill battle of keeping the family together after this traumatic experience. Because they don't know if he's been killed or if he's ever coming back, really. There's a lot of unknowns here that Eunice must deal with. And as the new head of the household, she must be the one that navigates her family in this nightmare. Fernanda Torres does such a great job in this role of keeping calm while giving or hiding information to the kids. As a father, this film definitely gut-punched me in the feels. Such a powerful film, and I'm not at all angry this landed at the top spot.
Nós vamos sorrir. Sorriam.
So what do you think about this list? A couple of films didn't even crack the top 10 on this list, namely The Substance and Emilia Perez. I know both of them were pretty divisive, so I can understand why. Emilia Perez being a musical and because of the controversy with one of the actresses. And then there's The Substance that's just, it's much different than any other movie on this list. It's pretty shocking, but I enjoyed The Substance. Anyways, thanks for getting smashed. I'll see you on the next one.